seeing the people, feeling the air, and just like trying the food, connecting with local people. That's what travel is about.
So I was 6'5" in 10th grade.
I want to thank both of you for taking this time out this morning to do this podcast. Anne and Matthew.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
True pleasure. Listen,
For us as well.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, so am I. Have you watched any of them?
Yes,
I have not.
Yeah, it's being honest. I have not.
I can't lie to you. I've never lied to you in my life.
And where were you born?
I was born in the Philippines.
Okay.
I've lived in Japan for about 24 years now. I moved here when I was 19, but the 19 years of my life I've spent in the Philippines.
So what was it like? What was the reason for moving here, first of all?
So I traveled to Japan when I was 12. Got a taste of what Japan was like, and that sort of like really pulled me into Japan. That was my motivation to finish university at a very young age. I just wanted to finish and come here. So 19.
You came here without your family?
No, I was traveling with my family.
Okay.
So I was, I think, in my elementary school when I came here.
Mm-hmm.
And so my motivation was to finish university, and I did at 19. And I came here, and everything else is history. I've been here ever since then.
But when you came here, you came with your mother and father?
My mom, my brother, and some of my aunts, and my grandma, actually. We traveled.
Where'd you move to in Japan? Where'd you come to?
We were in Hashimoto, in Kanagawa Ken.
In Kanagawa.
Yeah.
And then you started learning Japanese, or did you learn it before you came?
Oh, no. So I came here at 19 and traveled for a little bit and studied Japanese for a year. But I wasn't a great student.
Okay.
Like I thought I wanted to learn Japanese at a young age, but my motivation was not there. It wasn't the right time for me. It's just one of those things. I needed to do it because of my visa, actually.
Right.
So yeah, I learned a little bit, but in retrospect, if I could be a better student, I would probably really do it. I will nail it.
Were you the first child?
Yes, eldest in my family.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 3 brothers. The youngest are twins.
And they're all in Japan?
They're all in the Philippines.
All
of my family are in the Philippines.
Oh, so they went back, or you came over here without your brothers?
No. I came here with my brother. The other 2 brothers were still very young back then, so they were left in the Philippines.
Okay.
Traveled with my mom and some other relatives, and we went back to the Philippines. I continued my high school and my university, and I just wanted to finish as soon as possible and be done with my studies. So a week after.
Were you studying here or studying in the Philippines?
I stayed in the Philippines until I was in
okay.
university.
I got you.
And then moved here 2 weeks after graduation.
Right. And then your brother did come with you?
My brothers and some of my family have visited Japan multiple times. We've always had a connection with Japan. So
That first trip was just a trip for you.
Yeah,
it wasn't like moving here.
No.
It was a trip.
It was a trip.
How long did you stay?
For about a month.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I had some really great memories of that time. And like I said, that was a time when I realized that I am going to live here.
Okay, what did you study when you studied in college?
I majored in Airline business administration.
Okay.
Are
you doing that now?
It's marketing. It was
marketing.
Marketing. Kind of. Marketing is very general. So I studied that in university for 4 years, and I did enjoy it. I learned some things, and I would say that it's kind of like helped me with my business now.
Mm-hmm. What's your business now?
We are the marketing side of the business. We are in the tourism industry. Initially Arigato Japan started as a food tour company. But
what's the name of the company?
Arigato Japan.
Arigato Japan.
Yeah.
Being rebranded as Arigato Travel.
Yeah, we are.
Wait, is this your company or is it?
Yes.
That's what I'm talking. I like that.
Yeah.
So Arigato Japan. How old is Arigato Japan?
About 6 years now.
January 26, 2016.
Right.
Is this both of your companies?
No, I started the company, but Matt is
I mean, I'm
co-owner.
definitely co-founder.
He is the co-founder, but I will claim
She's the founder.
that I am
Her idea.
Yeah,
Okay.
Original angel investor.
yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it was very successful. But obviously, we had challenges when COVID struck.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does Arigato Japan do? Give me a run through.
We specialize in sharing the best of Japan, whether that means through food, to local experiences, through like different destinations that are hidden, that are not so known to so many people. We just love sharing our passion and really introducing Japan to the rest of the world in many forms. As I mentioned, we do food tours, we do different sorts of local experiences, and over COVID, it really transitioned to, it really made our team stronger in the sense that we had to find other ways to pivot and survive.
Okay, what was the first pivot that you had to make that you said, "Uh-oh, this isn't going to work"?
Well, the first pivot was cooking classes to tours.
Oh, right, yeah. So let me backtrack a little bit. So initially, this started out of my travels in Europe. I've traveled almost 50 countries, most of them myself.
So after we got married, she comes to me.
All right, you can.
After we got married, she comes to me and she's like, "Listen, I need to do one more trip to Europe by myself without you." And I was like, okay.
How long had you been together?
Well, we had been together for many years, but married I think only a year at that time.
Yeah.
And then
So as soon as you got married, 1 year, no kids?
No kids.
Yeah, no.
And you said, "I'm going to New York."
Yeah, I'm gonna do my
myself.
one last hurrah and travel by myself. So
and I was supportive. I was like, heck yeah, but heck yeah, baby.
But we have to go about I have to find out your background too. The reason why I do this is because I can find out more about people when I find out where they are in the family.
Right.
You're the first child.
Yes, breadwinner.
Yeah. So when she
Are you
went,
the first child?
The only child.
well, no, I have two sisters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I'm the only child with my biological parents.
But you're the tallest child for sure.
Definitely.
6'11"?
6'11", yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm shrinking now. Maybe I'm 6'10". But
Yeah.
I was 6'11" at one point on ESPN something.
Whoa. Okay, so go on. So you went to Europe, your last hurrah.
Yeah, and
So she was. I'm sorry. She was posting in Europe on Facebook and tagging me, and my office thought I was in Europe. But they were like, "Are you coming to the office? Are you in Europe?" And I was like,
What were you doing?
She's back here.
I was here and I was working for a firm that helped companies enter Japan, and we created a foundation for their entry, like creating their legal entity, doing all their compliance, so that they can just hire people and build their business. So I was doing that, and she's in like France and Santorini and tagging me, and people are like, "Matt, where are you?"
I left him here.
For a month.
Yeah.
She made a whole calendar, man. Yeah. It was on the wall.
Yeah.
It was on the wall. There was a calendar. I'm gonna be here on these days.
Do you have that?
I'm not quite sure. Oh no,
No, that was. But it was a very elaborate piece of paper.
It was a little brutal, yeah, because he had to see everything, and he was tagged in all of the posts. Anyways,
I was like, "Where is Anne today?"
Yeah, I was just traveling, and now that I think about it, the great times of travel.
But did you love it? Did you love it?
I love traveling.
What did you enjoy? What were the parts that you enjoyed about it?
I think for me, so as soon as I take off from Narita or Haneda, that's like leaving Japan and leaving my life here.
Okay.
Leaving all the stress, work, and looking forward to a new adventure. So that part of taking off, I always make sure, no matter how tired I am, that I am awake. And then
harder now with two kids.
Okay. Yeah, so I always enjoy that, and landing, seeing seeing the people, feeling the air, and just like trying the food, connecting with local people. That's what travel is about. Discovering the unknown, and just being in a different place that you probably have never imagined in your life. So these are like the things that excite me about travel. Traveling alone as a female, of
and you
course.
Did you have any contacts in these places?
I have a lot of friends.
So that's what made it even more enjoyable.
Exactly.
The fact that you had people you're going to see.
Yes. For instance, I was in Ischia. I had a friend who is a local of Ischia. She's married to someone on that island, and it's just nice to be shown around by someone like her. Or I would crash in my friend's couch in Germany. Different, like these kinds of like experiences are like the things that I look back to now that things are harder, and I'm very thankful for all of the experiences that I had in those travels. So going back to your question, I joined different local experiences, did a cooking school joined a cooking class with a French market tour. So that was really special to me. Like I learned how to make French food, and that sort of like opened the idea of doing something similar in Japan. So we initially started as a cooking school. Believe it or not, I opened a cooking kitchen here in Azabujiban, which is kind of like it was a mistake.
It's a capital expenditure.
That's how you put it. Okay.
Yeah. So we did that for about 6 months, and I realized that you cannot scale a cooking school.
Well, it's just hard to make profit.
It's just
you need like
not
75, 80 customers before you turn a profit. It's like running a restaurant.
Yeah.
It
So
was like having a swimming pool.
exactly.
Yeah, there's
Right.
maintenance. There's maintenance.
Yeah. So close to cooking school, and on the third month, I had already started doing food tours in Ginza and Shimbashi area. I did that. The first 300 tours I did by myself, and on the 6th month of the business, believe it or not, it was my first time in Osaka. I went there as a tourist myself with a small suitcase. I've interviewed guides before even I had opened a food tour there, saying, I'm going to open a food tour. I've interviewed 20 guides before I even had a food tour in Osaka and Kyoto. So I opened food tours there without knowing anything, just like winging it.
No contacts?
No. But I had to research myself. I made it happen. From one food tour, we have about 43 food tours all over Japan now. It was great before COVID,
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that things will rebound.
Did it totally shut down with COVID?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no way to do it.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, you can do locals, but we were focused on inbound, so it's tough. But one of my fondest memories of the early days of Arigato Travel now is, we built a website on Drupal, which is like, what is that? It's like a WordPress competitor. And we like launched the site, and then like a few hours later, we got someone that booked it, and we were like, "Oh no, we got to do something
What
now!"
are we gonna do?
And then she built the product, which is like the tour, and in one of the starting positions of like one of our most famous tours called All Star Tour is in Yurakucho, like near under the train tracks, Garoshita, and she's standing there. And it's just like coincidentally, serendipitously, one of our main competitors has a starting point there too that we didn't know. And so there's a group of 15 people there, and there's this person like holding the flag, and everyone's like congregating around this person. And this one person walks up to Anne and is like, "Oh, is that our group?" And I was like, "Nope, it's not our group."
Today it's a private tour.
Today is a private tour, because it was just that one person.
Yeah.
And so like I love that memory because over the next 2 years, their group got smaller and our group got bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, with you, Matthew, where were you born?
I was born in Baltimore County Hospital, and I lived there. Moved my parents to Virginia Beach. A few memories of that area. 3 moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My family was steel, truckers, farmers. My grandpa taught me how to drive. I told you this story where he was a long haul trucker and he would just smack his hands, and he was always teaching me how to drive, and that's the thing I remember the most. But then
keep himself awake.
To keep himself awake.
Okay.
And then my mom lost her job. We moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Just the two of you.
Well, actually, my grandparents were retiring and they wanted to retire in Myrtle Beach. So my mom took a trip down there one spring and then found a job at a hospital, and so just luckily,
Mom, what about Dad? What was that?
So Dad and Mom didn't get along, and Dad remained in Baltimore for a little bit, and then he moved to Virginia. Yeah, I mean, and I spent every other holiday with my dad.
Okay.
My dad was absolutely amazing. I think given everything we know about divorced parent situations, I'd say my situation wasn't really that bad. But my mom and dad, we weren't exactly like friends.
How are they doing now? Are they?
My dad unfortunately passed away last year, but my mom is doing much better, remarried, living in Aiken, South Carolina. We saw her, took her grandchildren to see her. She was pumped 24/7, as a grandmother normally is.
Now your height is one thing that I'm sure everybody want to know about. You being 6'11".
Yeah.
When did it start?
So I was 6'5" in 10th grade. So I was 15, 16, 6'5", skinny as a rail.
Well, so in every even in kindergarten you were the tallest?
Yeah, I have memories of being like on the playground when I was like 5, and I was taller than like the third graders, and they were wondering why I wasn't like able to interact with them.
Right.
And my parent, I remember my parents being like, "He's 5, like you're like 13."
Was your father tall or your mother tall?
My father's 6'3", mom's 6'1".
Okay.
But I have uncle 6'5", cousin 6'10".
Gotcha.
My grandma was 6 feet. So
there's one thing I want to mention, then you're going to go on with your story. I saw something, I guess it was on YouTube or someplace, where they showed the viewpoint of someone your height, 6'11".
Yeah.
Life is completely different for you.
It's different.
You see a whole lot of dust.
I see a lot of dust. I see what people when people don't comb their hair. You know, I see the bald spots. You know, people in denial. I see all that, man. You know, can't ride roller coasters easily. Buses are challenging. You know, there are some downsides, but I would say overall I've really enjoyed it. A lot of tall people.
You really enjoy it?
I really enjoy it because, you know, I guess it's also my personality. I love interacting with people, and I love also getting to know them. And so, but just naturally, they want to like ask me how tall I am.
Right.
So they start it.
Right.
They start the conversation, and then I finish. And so I think that actually works out well because, you know, I may come on a little strong sometimes, but they were interested in me first. So they're like it's like a good equilibrium, you know. And so every conversation we have, especially if it starts with how tall you are, usually ends pretty well. And you know, playing professional basketball, I wasn't famous by any stretch, but to some.
What team?
So I played for Yale, and then I played in kind of like the second division EuroLeague in Portugal. Then I played in a team in Tunisia, so I was in like that Tunisian league. And then I got a chance to join the preseason with the New York Knicks. Played there for 9 days. And then from there, I got an offer from the Perth Wildcats and the Toyama Guraozu, the Raichu of Toyama Prefecture. And so because I studied Japanese in school, I told my agent, I'm really interested in this. So I went to Toyama. That was in 2010.
You spent 4 years in Yale.
Yeah.
Studying what?
Economics and Japanese.
A brainy guy that's tall. My goodness.
Well, I used it for something. I got lucky.
How did you guys get together?
Oh,
how did that happen? That's next.
So I saw. So the short. There's a very long story. I don't know if we have enough.
Share with you later.
I don't know if we have enough time.
We can do part 2.
Yeah. So the
short version.
She's gonna disagree with the verbs and adjectives I'm gonna use here.
She can give her part.
That's okay. So the reality is, I saw or dated her best friend.
Went on dates,
whatever you want to call it.
More accurate than
before her. I actually went on a double date with her and this other lady one time, and but she was the best friend at the time. So you know the game.
Right.
Best friend's kind of lucky too.
Right.
So I was trying to be nice to everybody.
Okay.
That didn't last long, and then a couple months after we broke up, Anne and I got together on October 31st.
Halloween in Roppongi.
Halloween in Roppongi.
Yeah,
and we have been together ever
great.
since. And we've been together ever since.
Yes.
You just had a ball.
Yeah. Now we have 2 beautiful children, Gabriel and
What
Belle.
was it with Matthew being so tall? Now I can understand him being interested in you, and I can understand you being interested in him. But what was the reason?
What was the reason?
I think things just really happen, but I will say this: I've always been attracted to very tall men, but not this tall. Like this is like extremely tall. I'm like, oh
because
god.
You're 5.
I claim to be 5'2".
5'2".
Yeah.
5'2". You're 5'2". Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give her 5'2".
Okay. Yeah, so it's a totally different world. Even the tone of my voice, like he will say, "I cannot hear you," because obviously he's
I'm like, hey, what are you saying?
yeah. So yeah, there's these little challenges
Right.
in life.
And when you're walking together, you always
I've
make
given
sure
up on
you-
heels. I
Okay.
used
you
to
tried,
wear.
you tried to do the heels for a while.
Yeah, but at this point in my life, I'm
Listen,
44.
I'm
I'm
good.
like,
I'm good.
I'm good.
I didn't need the heels. I was happy when she went for the flats because she was happier because her feet weren't hurting.
Yeah.
I don't understand that whole thing with women where like, some women the heels hurt, they don't hurt. I don't get that. Like, I guess they accept the pain because they want to be. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
But your attraction, I see that you saw Anne, and the conversation had to be stimulating.
it was stimulating. Very very quickly, I saw because at that point in her life, she was she had been through some trauma with other guys, and so she was back into like enjoying just being single. And at that point, I really we didn't immediately get along 100% amazingly, but I really saw like into her soul. I really did, and I saw like how great a person she is deep down, and that's what I really fell in love with first. And it's just a bonus that I'm very attracted to her physically.
Yes.
Back to Yale. Were you always good in school?
I was because I was told I had to be, and in school came, well, just like, your parents and grandparents are like, do good in school,
Okay.
right? And that's just kind of what you're told when you're growing up. And I was like, it came easy to me, so I was like, well, I guess this is what I do every day, so I might as well do the best I can, so that just was my mentality. I didn't like study endlessly. It just kind of came easy. But then I got a wake up call when I went to Yale because that was a lot harder than high school. So that Yale, beyond what I learned in class, which I would say that I used some economics, I used some Japanese, obviously now, but beyond what I learned in class there it was just like you got to get organized. Like you got to be preparing for the next thing. You can't just show up anymore. And that was what I learned the most. Like working hard, being organized, being on time. My college coach, James Jones, he's still there. I text him every now and then. There was one time I started my freshman year. Our first practice was called 5 at 5, 5 mile run up a mountain, and I wasn't in shape. I just showed up, and so I was dying. I was dying, and obviously with collegiate sports, you get into good shape eventually. There's no other alternative. But I wasn't. I struggled with being on time sometimes. But we had this buddy system that if you were late, your buddy was late, and so that accountability and me caring about my teammate really made me change that chemistry in my mind. And we would have practice at 6:30 a.m. and then I'd have Japanese at 8 or 9. It was every day. And there was one time I was late by a minute, and me and my buddy had to run suicides for 2 hours. It was terrible. That was a moment. That was a changing moment for me.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
I bet your buddy let you know that too.
He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. But
Okay, so where are you now in your life? You have 2 children. How old are your children?
4 and 2, 2.5. She's turning 3 soon.
Gabriel and Isabella, we call her Bella.
A boy and a girl.
Yes. We were
You
just
said 2 and 4.5.
yes.
4 and 2.5.
4 and 2.5.
4 and 2.5.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Love them. I mean,
You
Gabriel's.
think they're going to be pretty big?
They're going to be taller than her,
Yeah.
but shorter
children
than
aren't.
me.
Most children aren't taller
Yeah.
than their mothers for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean,
She raised a really short guy.
the Gabriel is at the age where he's trying to figure out who's in charge, and we're
You mean with you?
with
Or
us,
just the whole family?
with us.
Okay.
In general, he thinks he's
So
in charge.
it's challenging.
Yeah, so we've been trying to learn things to do to help him understand this, and I think we have some good things now. Calm, timeout, redirecting him when he's about to punch Bell in the face. And then also, just really being excited about anything that he's
The
doing.
little things.
It's actually working like magic now. I'm really excited because we didn't know what to do until we had these
Isn't
things.
that sad? That out of all the things we do in our lives, no one ever teaches us how to parent.
That's
We find out more about our pets than we do about other human beings.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I feel that's one of the biggest problems we have in raising our society as we do.
because I think, I think about it a lot because now that I have kids.
And there are techniques, as you said, that you can use, and everyone has a different personality, but there's certain things that work for everyone.
Right.
Yeah, I think about it a lot because now we have kids, and my parents and their parents, there wasn't as much information available, and people wanted to keep it in the family, so they only had the tools that they had, right?
Sure.
And so it really is a challenge for anybody that's trying to change the tools that they were given. It's challenging.
It is.
Sometimes you may grab them too hard or
Right.
spank them too hard, and afterwards you feel terrible. But it's like, well, that's what my parents did. So, and I'm like not that bad.
You're right.
And so it's tough.
Yeah, tell me about it. I have 4 sons.
Yeah.
So it is. But I had the advantage of working with so many families.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm very similar to yourself that I like to talk to people. So I asked them, how do you work with your kids? For those parents that I saw that had really good kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
They did
right.
everything.
Yeah.
So I asked them, and I came up with a plethora of information that I could use for my sons, and I think it worked out.
Thank
And I've
you.
even helped with other parents.
Yeah.
I've
Same
seen
time,
your
same time.
sons. They're
Have you?
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always used to say hi because I played basketball in Ishimachi,
Yeah.
and you
I
think
was
you're
to gymnastics.
those are your sons, right?
These are my sons.
And they're teaching gymnastics.
They actually are.
That's cool.
How many teachers inspired you in your life? How many teachers?
I
inspired you?
don't remember.
But you went to Yale, so it's not fair. But before Yale, you don't remember any teachers that you know?
Probably one.
No,
I have one or two in my mind right now, but
Okay.
not so many that I can really recall.
Honestly, it's like real inspiration.
Yes.
One at Yale.
I was gonna say you couldn't have.
Just
Teachers that
one.
long.
Just one. But I had more when I was growing up, actually.
All right, but you had one teacher that.
Yeah, I had one teacher that really inspired me. It was an economics class, and I got the worst grade of my life in the class. It was a C. And he gave me he met with me to talk about my test, and he pointed out that, Matt, you didn't really know the material, but you knew what you needed to do. You knew the question you needed to ask to get the answer. You were just by yourself on this one. And he was like, that's leadership. That's master's level, PhD level stuff right there. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I feel like I learned more in the C class
Yes.
than I did in the ones that got A. And then the other teacher that really inspired me was Mr. Clickerman, 4th grade. Never forget it. He walks into the class. He writes, "Is this reasonable?" on the board. And he said, everything you do in this class and in life, if the result or what's happening isn't reasonable, then you have to start asking questions. So if you do something, or if you have a result or anything that you feel you have to ask, is this reasonable? If it's unreasonable, then you need to divert. You need to do something to figure out what's going on. And that stuck with me forever. And that's probably why, I annoy people sometimes. Got too many questions.
What would you like to end this podcast with?
Well, thank you so much for letting us do this with you. I've never had the chance to sit down and talk to you.
Yeah, we just saw. I remember we saw
always
each other one time, and I was by the gym. You were coming out, and I know Shai. And I said, "But people say, wow, you're really tall," and something like that. And then you started, but I think you had to go somewhere.
Yeah, I was going somewhere. But I'm really grateful for this moment because now I feel like it's the beginning of another great
It's gonna
relationship.
be.
And I.
'Cause when Ann saw me, we were in the Winter Garden and we were speaking. And you called me over to you or what?
I think I did. I think I did. Yeah.
Did you know about the podcast? You didn't know about the podcast.
At that point, not yet.
But the way you vibrated, I said, I want you on the podcast. And you said, well, okay. And I said, and then you said, well, what about my husband? I said, yeah, let's do that. Both. She sure did. She
Why
said,
not?
and I said, that'd be fantastic. Ann, anything you'd like to end with?
I'll end it with beautiful beginnings. I think it's the beginning of a nice year, nice relationship with you and your podcast. I'm sure it's going to be a great year. And we've been through hell. It's time to turn a new leaf. I think 2022 is going to be great. And I'm just filled with positivity that it's going to be great. And we're going to rise through the ashes because it's been tough for everyone on a personal level,
Everybody.
on all levels. And I'm just hopeful for great things to come.
Well, thank you. I want to thank both of you.
Hey, thanks. It's awesome.
So look at that.
Oh,
Look, Matthew Minute. He wasn't
Hey,
playing
man.
around. That's the wrong hand. That's the other hand.
She chooses all her jewelry. I just buy it.
There you go. I want to thank all of you for watching this podcast. Make sure you press like, subscribe, and never forget, it's all unknown. Continue to reach for the stars, and you're too blessed to be stressed.